Morning and welcome to my tire side chat. I'm making a video about crypto this morning. I haven't made one of these for my channel in a while. I've had a lot going on personally and professionally, been very busy. It's worth mentioning that last week for work, I went to the RSA conference in San Francisco I was there for 2 full days, basically. The RSA conference, for those of you who aren't familiar, is basically the biggest gathering of cybersecurity professionals in the United States and I guess maybe the world, that happens annually. I guess it's usually in San Francisco. This is the first time that I've ever gone. I've been focusing personally more. Now I am an IT professional. Again, I've been working in the IT industry since the year 2000. Basically, I think that was about when I got my first actual IT job. I was going to college for computer science at the time. And that's where I started out at a small company that provided satellite internet connectivity to businesses, which wound up being a pretty shady organization. A lot of stories around that one, let me tell you. I got some good ones, but yeah. Anyway, so I've been in one way, shape, or form. I've done tech support. I've done consulting for small and medium-sized businesses. I've worked at a Silicon Valley tech company I was there about 7 years, and even though I'm in Central California, actually, and I think even before, so this was I worked at, it was Barracuda Networks. Any problem in me saying that, which they're based out of Campbell, which is south of San Jose. It's basically San Jose, California. But even before then, the company that I was at was Yosemite Technologies, Yosemite, like the national park. I was with on and off for, let's see, since starting in 2003, and then in 2008, Barracuda bought them. Yosemite was a company that manufactured tape backup software, and it was started here in California and was based out of Fresno, which, you know, most people, all they know about Fresno, if you're not from here, is that there's a lot of farming that goes on, but it's actually it's a fairly big, it's like a really, really big town, with now 500,000 people. But that was started here and ran out of here, and got to be very successful. Got some venture capitalist funding in 2005. They brought new execs in to try to ramp it up, which actually the people they brought in just kind of like pillaged the company and ran it to the ground. And then they got rid of those people, brought in a new exec, new CEO, who managed to salvage it and sold the company to Barracuda Networks. That's how I got to be employed at Barracuda back in 2008, when there was only like 200 people at that company, and today it's, I don't know, it's in the low thousands. Anyhow, so I've been in IT for a long time, either working in internal IT departments or doing consulting, or as a management, quasi-management role, sysadmin roles. I've done a little bit of everything, except I've never really been a programmer. I mean, I know how to do some scripting and stuff, and I understand it, but I'm not, it's not my thing. And in recent months, really, I've been focusing more on, I've kind of been, or taken another interest in focusing on cybersecurity, and thought it was beneficial for my current job for us to go to the cybersecurity conference in San Francisco. And even only having been there for a couple of days, I went there with my sysadmin, who works under me, I guess, currently, and while she was focusing more on low-level technical sessions. And I went to one or two of those, but a lot of the ones that I went to were more bird's eye view, internationally focused, to like what's going on with cybersecurity globally between the United States and, dude, get off your phone and go. He's looking at his phone. Come on, buddy. Oh no, he's smoking a cigarette and looking at his phone and getting on the freeway, and he's not merging properly. All right, great. Go, dude. Go, dude. So as it pertains to, I'm going to finish my sentence, as it pertains to cybersecurity, espionage between, it's like 5 major players, the United States, China, North Korea, Russia, Iran. Had some interesting sessions on that, and then the last one I went to on Thursday was with, and I'll be damned if I can remember his name. He is the senior director on cyber for the White House. He spoke from a very high level. He works with the Trump administration, in the Trump administration, and his job is essentially, as he put it, was to convey the president's directives on cybersecurity to the various federal agencies that are involved in it, which there's like 5 of them, including CISA. I should be able to name a few more of them. The Department of Homeland Security, and what am I not thinking of? But there's like, and even as it applies to like agencies like HUD, who aren't directly involved in cybersecurity, but cybersecurity affects everything and everyone. So, and I will just say, to summarize, that I feel like that guy should have attended some of the sessions that I went to, because he seemed a little bit out of touch in regards to our relations to China, especially, and their approach to how to handle cybersecurity relations with them, and how to defend ourselves against the Salt Typhoon and Volt Typhoon attacks. They're groups that have been in China that have been targeting the United States telecommunications and infrastructure systems. When are you going to talk about cryptocurrency, Robin? I'm getting to it, okay? I think all of this stuff is interesting and important, and it relates somewhat to cryptocurrency and where we're going. You know what? I still see YouTubers talking about trying to make predictions for the bull run that we're apparently in. Do get out of the fast lane. And comparing, they're talking about the sell in May and walk away phenomenon, and then going back and looking at charts from previous years during bull cycles and validating that. I don't think that should be taken too heavily at this point, because this is not 2021 or 2020 or 2018 or whichever historical bull cycle you want to look at. I know back then there were macro factors to consider. I think it's very different now. It's very different now. They're so different. And yes, traditionally, I think the reasoning behind sell in May and walk away was you have the summer months coming. That's when people start going on vacation. They're not really paying attention to their investments. they're cashing things out to pay for their vacations and pay off credit cards. And there's other reasons for that. But I think that made a lot more sense. I mean, like last year, in 2024, that I think if you go back and look at the charts, that applies, totally applies. I don't have any charts in front of me to show you, but if you go and look it up, that's basically the case. I think we saw a run up starting in December, January time of 24, and then running up through April, May, and then a drop off for most cryptos. Well, I've got a beverage here. Got a beverage here, man. Would you just take it easy? Calmer than you are, dude. Calmer than you are. But this year we have everything going on with Trump's trade war, and it's really thrown things for a loop. And markets are sitting on edge, waiting to see what's going to happen with that. What is China going to do in response? What is Japan going to do in response? Trump has put the tariffs on pause while negotiations are happening, but as of today, I think he was supposed to be announcing, maybe in the past hour, that we made an agreement with the UK officially, and announcing details on that. But that's the first one out of, we only got 179 more countries to go. China probably being the most important of all of those. This week we've got the Port of Los Angeles reporting that so far what they're expecting is the cargo shipments from China are down, or just in general are down 35% from where they were last year or last month, whatever. But we've basically got an active trade embargo going on with China. And whatever the president and his lackeys say, that's going to have a major effect on small, medium-sized, large businesses here in the States. We probably have, I've heard, 5 to 7 weeks, depending on what you're talking about, of stockpile, inventory, and then for various things. And then if this doesn't get resolved, and if those cargo shipments don't ramp back up, there's going to be some empty shelves and a lot of hurt, and or probably you're really going to start to see some inflation on things. So, and then when that happens, what's going to happen to the stock market? And so far it seems like Bitcoin has broken away from being tethered to the stock market so much. That'll be a huge moment of truth if we get to that point and stocks really start to tank, and the US dollar starts to tank even further than it already has. I haven't checked the index this morning, but if China and Japan, who holds more US bonds, US debt than China does even, if they decide to start selling off their bonds, and our bond market really goes south, and that causes a raise in interest rates even further for the treasuries, and which that apparently, as I'm learning more about this all the time, really can affect interest rates more than what the Federal Reserve does when they go out and set interest rates. That's going to trickle down to mortgages and credit cards, and credit cards are already so ridiculous anyways. I'm trying to consolidate a little credit card debt right now. Not that I have a ton of it, but getting rid of it as much as possible is always a good thing. So there's a lot of these factors at play, and And the other thing to consider too, well, there's as of this week, the Senate is trying to put through a bill on cryptocurrency stablecoins. I think maybe they'll get that passed in some way, shape, or form. The problem is the Democrats, they need 60 votes in the Senate to pass it, and the Democrats are protesting it. At least many of them are, because of Trump's involvement with cryptocurrency and the news that came out about how I believe it was United Arab Emirates are investing something like $20 billion in the Trump family's crypto company, which is involved in the new stable coin that they want to launch. I'm a little hazy on the details, but this all points back to massive conflicts of interest with the Trump administration and his family enriching themselves, and it really just looks bad for crypto. And going back to when he launched his meme coin, around January 20th, that I think that did a lot of damage in the public eye, and they see stuff like that happening and just think, well, look at that. Crypto's just it's a Ponzi scheme, and the president's just using it to enrich himself. And if he can just launch a meme coin and make hundreds of millions of dollars while he's the president of the United States, which, again, if Joe Biden had done that while he was in office, like, you think Republicans want to be out in the street with pitchforks? I'm just saying. But here, it's fine. It's whatever. Yeah, he can just do that. It's cool. Anyways, as I make this video, Bitcoin is just inching on 100,000 again, and it could hit that any moment. If it surpasses that, and maybe in the next few weeks we see it go to 110, 115. Ethereum just hit 2,000, back from its low point where it dipped, I think, slightly below 1,500 for a minute there. Congrats if you bought that dip, or anything. Any of the altcoins. The altcoins are rallying this morning quite a bit. My portfolio is up, looking better. We're still down. I'm still down like 60% from December at the last peak. So we have a ways to go, but I mean, unless you were mostly just holding Bitcoin, which is great. There's a lot less risk, but lower reward. So, whatever risk to reward balance you like to have, whatever's right for you, then, you got to consider that. But so it's interesting. I think with things happening the way that they did, there's a lot of global liquidity out there that's continued to rise, that's being dumped back into the market. The market cap for crypto is back above 3 trillion this morning, after I think it was down to like 2.5 there for a bit, and in December, where it was, I think it was approaching 4 trillion, if I'm not wrong. So if the next big thing will be when the Federal Reserve meets, well, one big thing will be when the Federal Reserve meets in June. It was June or July. I want to say it was June, their next meeting. So, Jerome Powell came out yesterday and said that they were holding steady with interest rates. We'll see if they come out in June or July, depending on what happens with the tariffs. If inflation starts to skyrocket, I don't think they're going to lower interest rates. That would be good news for the markets if they did, but they're going to be faced with the tough decision, whether or not they do that, when and how, or if they decide to switch from QT to QE, quantitative easing, and they start dumping money back into the markets. If at that point that happens, that's really, which is just a matter of time, I think, before that does happen from the sounds of it. That's really going to be bullish for crypto markets. But, when they start doing that, that's not going to help inflation, and neither is lowering interest rates. So they've got they've got a tough choice on their hands being at the Federal Reserve. So a lot of information for 20 minutes, but I'm at work. I got to get inside. And thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe button if you like this video. I will talk to you later with another update. Hopefully again soon here. Bye-bye for now.